Welcome to the Wingmen Show. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. Welcome to the Wingmen Show. My name is Drew Brown. I have a wingman, my main man, who always watches my six, Dr. Paul Thompson. What's up, brother Paul?
Oh, not much. Today is a good day. Good to talk to you. I'm glad to see you. Hope you're doing all right. Yesterday, I had a really bad hour, very excruciating pain for a while, but it went away, and it has to do with gastrointestinal issues.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad everything came out all right.
It literally did. Yeah.
Well, behind you, you have an F8, which you're going to tell me a little bit about. But you see behind me, I got that badass Tomcat. And I got to tell you something, Dr. Paul, when I first came into the Navy and I wanted to, my dream jet was the one that's behind me. It's an F-14 Tomcat. I wound up flying attack jets, which I liked a lot better. But let me tell you a little something about this F-14 Tomcat. This bad boy can go 1,544 miles per hour. It has a 20 Mike cannon. They don't even call it a gun. They call it a cannon. It can carry 4 Sparrows, 4 Sidewinders, 2 AIM 9 missiles. But what it really carries are 6 Phoenix. Now, in the back seat, there's a guy called the Rio, and he flies with the pilot. And that Rio can track 24 enemy aircraft from 200 miles away and then actually guide missiles to 6 of them. Now, the reason we don't shoot people from that far away is because we have rules of engagement and you got to kind of see the enemy. But that aircraft is one bad hammer jammer, and it can go 50,000 plus. That means it can go higher than 50,000, but the military doesn't want to give you the exact number. But that's the F-14 Tomcat. Got about a radius of 500 miles. It's a bad hammer jammer. What about that F-8?
That F-8 is it's a Navy F-8. Came out, they operated between really 1955, 1987 for the U.S. Navy, the Marine Corps, the French Navy, and the Philippine Air Force, believe it or not, for a while. It's the first carrier-based aircraft to break the speed of sound. Go at about 1.7 Mach or 1.7 times the speed of sound. Altitude ceiling about the same, 52,000 feet plus. Single engine. Your F-14's got 2 engines. Single engine, single afterburning engine, and very, very famous. They used it in the Cuban Missile Crisis to fly over Cuba to see the weapons build up there in 1962. And there's something called Project Bullet or Operation Bullet that featured then Major John Glenn, United States Marine Corps, who became astronaut John Glenn, later Senator John Glenn, and he set a transcontinental airspeed record from Los Alamitos, California to Floyd Bennett Field in New York City. You know where Floyd Bennett Field is?
Yes, Brooklyn.
It's in Brooklyn. Yeah, southeast Brooklyn. Which is interesting.
Yep. That's a bad jet right there. They did some damage. It could carry some armament too.
Yeah, it was called the last of the gunfighters because it actually had 4 20-millimeter cannons, had 4 of them. Apparently, they didn't work that well. It also carried missiles. Apparently very good airplane, but very tough to land aboard the ship. So eventually, they put them to daylight operations only. They made them reconnaissance. I only know 2 people that ever flew them. One became a Blue Angel, a friend of ours, Donnie Cochran, and another one was a classmate in officer candidate school with me later at FedEx. Those are only 2 people.
How about that? Well, on my first cruise, we had F-8s.
Yeah. Okay.
We had F-8s on our first cruise. It was something else. Well, I want to welcome all of you frequent flyers. I want to give a shout out to all you guys. And for all you new listeners, if you wouldn't mind, write us a nice review on Apple Podcasts, only if we deserve it. I do have to say that. So, Dr. Paul, we have a newsletter. You're going to do a little bit of financial work on that newsletter. I'm going to give one of the facts in life. Actually, we're up to fact number 6. So how about this, Doc? You know, there's a triple-demic out there, and it's supposed to be getting real bad. But your boy, Drew, I'm flued up, got a flu shot. I'm boosted up. I got my other booster shot. It's the last booster shot that they just recommended, and I'm feeling much better. And I feel safe, and I'm glad that I am up to date on all my shots. I don't want to get sick. I don't want to die. I want to be healthy, happy, and keep doing this Wingman show, Dr. Paul.
I agree. I'm going to do the same. I plan to get mine next week. That'll be the month of November. That's for me. I'm going to probably do it Wednesday. My wife did hers yesterday, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
But we're boosted up. That means we're going to be here. Guess what, Dr. Paul? Today was day 7.
Yep, I did mine.
Our sponsor, Magic Mind. What kind of mind do I have? I don't know. It might be magic. But let me tell you how I felt. This is my 7th day taking it. We're going to take it for 2 weeks. And actually, Magic Mind's going to send us 2 more weeks. So we're going to do a 30-day trial on this thing because I do feel better. I have to tell you that. So when I worked out on my 4th day, I believe it is, I actually felt stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel more focused. Matter of fact, I wanted to take more time on working on the show. So I have that focus. And as far as procrastination, it seems like it's melting away. A lot of my family has gone ahead and ordered it. My son, the spine surgeon, Dr. Drew Brown IV, is feeling good from it. I think we might have a good sponsor here, Dr. Paul. What do you think about Magic Mind and taking that?
Yeah, well, my effects have been the same, very similar. After they did it this morning again, but after like day number 5, I was a lot more perky and definitely a lot more focused, throughout the day, throughout most of the day, from the morning till early evening and even into the evening. Initially, it's very, very subtle, but I do feel it. I think it has to do with those nootropics that come into play. But also, the last time I didn't work out yesterday because of my little stomach issue, but the day before, I did it amounted to 700 push-ups and some other stuff, and it felt like I didn't do anything. That was unusual. Where I would normally get tired, I wasn't. I noticed that when I finished it. Oh, okay. It was that, or, I don't know if that was it or not, but I think it contributed.
700 push-ups.
I do.
Okie dokie there, Dr. Paul. I did
easy.
7. No, I'm just kidding.
No. You do 100 burpees, 7 push-ups per burpee. Just do 100 of them. You take your time and listen to a tape. Yeah.
Dr. Paul.
Not all at once.
Okay. Everybody out there, we all can't be a Dr. Paul, but I promise you, he started from 1. He didn't start at 700. He probably started at 7 and worked his way up. And he is one healthy dude. I hope all of you could watch us on YouTube. You'll get to see those badass jets that we were talking about. And then you'll get to see good-looking Dr. Paul, my idol. Well, Dr. Paul, I'm going to tell you something. This Magic Mind is working. And I'm going to put my name behind it as far as 1 week goes. I don't know how the rest of the month go. I'm going to keep using it. But anybody who wants to do this with us, just go to magicmind.co and put in this code, Wingmen14, and you'll get up to 40% off. They are now becoming our sponsors, and magicmind.co, and the code is Wingmen14. You'll get 40% off. I believe in this stuff. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, I do too. I've recommended it to a dozen people in the last couple of days. And most of us, I'd say about 10 of them said, yeah, they're going to give it a try based on our recommendation in the show. Yeah, I'm going to keep doing it too. Did it this morning, and I'm good. I'm good with it.
Well, good. We're going to let you know next week how 14 days does.
Right.
I'll tell you something, Doc. I feel like James Brown from Magic Mind. You know why? Hey, I feel good.
Okay, well, you're James Brown. I'm the guy carrying the cape. If that's too old, you do some background on James Brown's performances, and it'll make sense to you.
Oh yeah, it's like Morris Day did that also with Jerome holding the mirror.
So with the mirror. Yeah, with the mirror.
Yeah, you mentioned that before. That's crazy. But I like this stuff. Now, if you notice, I'm wearing my Southern University of New Orleans t-shirt. This is my college, my university. It's an HBCU. And we were talking about it last week, HBCUs. Well, every Saturday is a big college football day. And on ESPN, one of their biggest shows is called College Game Day. And it's a big deal. Well, guess what? They're going to Jackson State this week. And Jackson State is playing my school, Southern, but the big Southern in Baton Rouge. I went to the smaller one in New Orleans. Neon Deion, they call him Coach Prime. He has really made a major impact. And I told you, I know the way for HBCUs to actually get financial independence, and that's start getting the top recruits in the country. And all they need to do is get a partner for some of these pro teams. We talked about it last week. Isn't this great?
Yeah, I was looking at that ESPN. I think this is like the fourth time they've actually done an HBCU. They actually did one in I think 2005. This is the fourth, but it's interesting that it comes now with Deion Sanders at the helm. He's just focused a lot of attention on all the programs, I think. Same with basketball. Not so much there, but in other places. I think at Howard's got some top recruits. I think some are coming to Morehouse. But there's a lot of interest also at Morgan State. And some of these HBCUs have produced a number of folks in the pros. Walter Payton, I believe, came from Jackson State.
100% yes. One of the best running backs to ever play the game, actually.
Yes.
So I think this is going to bring a big spotlight on these schools, and I'm really excited about it. I do believe the way to financial independence is through education, and you and I promote that. You know, we're trying our best, and it's a lot of hard work for us during the week to get these good stories, but we're finding them because there has to be an alternative to this negativity. I mean, if we wanted to do a show on shootings, we could have an hour-long show every single day.
Right.
But we're not. We're talking about good things. We're talking about things that are important. Now, these are one of the subjects that we don't talk about much, but we have to now. After I got my flu shot and my booster, I did something else. I went and voted, early voting. Now, Dr. Paul and I have said we will not talk about political issues as far as Democrat, Republican, Independent, none of that. But we will talk about the political process. And Dr. Paul, in the mail and on TV are some of the most nauseous advertising ads I've ever seen. And they're getting really, really ugly. And I got something in the mail that's completely false, completely not true, and it's aimed at third graders. And I truly believe these people, they think the majority of Americans are morons. The way that they talk to us in ads and the way they talk to us in the mail and emails and text even. Give me your spin on it, Dr. Paul.
Yeah, I think the same thing. You know, I grab my mail, and when I come in, I've got a big trash can in the garage, and I sort it. And most of the junk goes in there. But I've seen some things. They're very powerful. They're on postcards, but they're like 8x11 postcards, thick and with 4-color printing. They put a lot of money into this stuff, and some of it's just bizarre. But most of it seems to be aimed at folks with maybe a second grade mindset. But it's effective.
You said it. No, not only second grade, a mad second grader.
Yeah, I'm an upset second grader. But it works. They spend a lot of money doing it. And it's rather unfortunate. You see the TV ads, and I don't watch those too much. They're not as over the top now. But all through the country, everywhere you go, you'll see the same kinds of things. So you see it on the East Coast, West Coast, and it seems as though the political process is aimed at the lowest common denominator, and I emphasize low. It's almost kind of like laughable, but that's the culture we have now. Instead of serious thought, it's more professional wrestling, but dumber.
That's excellent. It is professional wrestling. It's
dumber, a lot dumber,
fake, but dumber.
And I watched a lot of it too at one point. I knew all the stars in the 80s.
Oh, we love them. I did too. We lived in Memphis, remember?
Yeah, that's
Jerry Lawler. Actually, I have Jerry Lawler's bed.
Really?
He has a king size bed. Yes.
How'd that happen?
10 or 20 years ago, he bought it from this fancy furniture store, and he traded it in for another bed. It was a big, beautiful bed. Anyway, I bought it, and they told me it was Jerry Lawler's. I did the Jerry Lawler show, actually.
Really?
So, yes, and it's so funny to be in the back with all the wrestlers during the show. They're all friends. They're all hanging out, high-fiving, and then they come out and beat the hell out of each other. So,
did you ever meet Coco Beware?
I did not. No, I did not. I guess the most famous wrestler I ever met was Jerry Lawler. But the one I loved the most was Randy Macho Man Savage.
I did too. Yeah, I did too. That stuff is still good if you look at the old footage.
Him and The Rock and him had the best, I think, show going.
And the only interviewer in wrestling better than you would have been Rowdy Roddy Piper. I like this stuff.
He was crazy too. So anyway, those are the good days of wrestling.
Right.
And I'll tell you something, this voting thing, I don't let it affect me anymore. What I do is I vote and then I forget about it. Because to tell you the truth, it doesn't matter whether there's a Republican, a Democrat, an independent. I am in charge of my life.
Yeah.
I don't lose jobs because of the party that's there. And what happens is, I truly believe this, and I hope nobody gets mad at this, but a lot of people who screw up their lives doing junior high school and high school, and they don't do what they're supposed to do, they find themselves at 30, 40 with children, no money, and pissed off.
Yes.
And then they want to blame everybody else because they cut school. They want to blame everybody else because they tried to take the easy way out. When they were told there is no easy way out. You get what you pay for in this world.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Those critical years in life are important. And you see a lot of people who are messed up. I've seen some photos or some videos of folks in prisons and advising young people. And at one point to a person, they would say, stay in school, don't mess up. If I had to do anything over again, I would want to be here.
Don't you think 100% if you went to a wino in the street with a microphone and you said, what's the one thing you could do to not wind up like you? He would say, stay in school. When I believe that 100%.
Mm-hmm. And I
believe that 100%.
I've heard it.
Well, somebody who did stay in school, you ready for this? I hope you YouTubers can watch this, because I'm going to put some pictures on the board. There was a guy in Italy who had brain surgery. And I didn't realize this, but they said that the brain is the most interesting and complicated thing in the universe. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of doctors have said that, a lot of smart people. Anyway, this guy had brain surgery and he was awake. And they made him play his saxophone for 9 hours during this surgery. And they did that because it was such a complicated surgery. I don't know if they touched the wrong thing, would a bad note come out or something? But the truth is that this is called, I believe you're awake during the surgery, obviously, and you're playing the saxophone, and it shows the doctors the certain areas of the brain that they need to stay away from or they need to pay attention to. Maybe, Dr. Paul, you can explain it a little better. But this happened in Italy. It's incredible. Incredible.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think I can explain it any better at all, any better than you did. But it is incredible. I've heard of that kind of surgery being done and people doing different things. They're having conversations or they're writing. There's one that's playing the guitar.
And violin.
And the violin is, wow. I guess it's kind of like I guess if you get enough anesthesia, it's kind of like a live test. You get all the systems working, and then you adjust based on the performance, like a tuning in the engine of a car, get it all going. That is amazing. Amazing.
And that's one of the things that keeps us going. That's just an incredible thing, and I'm glad we can share it with everybody. Also, there's a lady who started at 65, a grandmother, who is now the weightlifting champion of the world in her age group at 85 years old. Is that not no, I'm sorry. She's not 85. She's 79. Okay. But she started when she was 65. And the first contest that she entered, she broke 9 national records.
Wow. Yeah, I think that she can squat for like 400 pounds.
Yes. Nora Langdon is her name.
Okay. Well, congratulations to her, because that means she has good knees. Even with something I wouldn't even attempt anything like that.
She got good genes.
That's true too. And there's some very strong people out there.
But what I really like is that it's never too late to start. I love that she started at 65. I mean, she started a whole new career when she was 65. So it's never too late. As a matter of fact, that'll be time for our PSA. This is a Wingmen PSA. From the 11 facts in life, this is fact number 6. Good will overcome evil. Avoid these 8 deadly sins: pride, envy, anger, sloth, lust, greed, gluttony, and the new one, alcohol and drugs. This has been a Wingman PSA. Good will overcome evil, or it's not worth waking up tomorrow.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. And, during the weeks, next week, I'm going to go into the first two, maybe pride and envy a little bit. So that's our Wingman PSA. All right, let's play our little game here, Doc.
Good.
Oh, I got a Wingman for us. I forgot to tell you that in the beginning, but wait till you hear my Wingman story. Oh, my goodness. Okay, you ready for this?
Sure.
What are the odds of a meteor hitting your house?
Oh, 1 in 722,000.
1 in 722,000. Dr. Paul, it's 1 in 300 billion.
Okay.
That's incredible. But I got a better one for you, and both of you and I both played it. And maybe we'll be giving away money next week on the Wingmen Show. It's the lottery. What are your odds? Because tonight's the Powerball. I think you said 825 million.
I think so, yes.
Okay. Well, what are the odds of you or I hitting that?
Well, I don't know. I got 3 tickets. I'll admit that. It's probably 1 in 300 million or 350 million. 1 in 350 million.
Very close. 1 in 292 million.
Okay.
And hopefully you or I will be that one.
Yeah. Well, you'll know for sure. You'll say, "Where's Dr. Paul? He's gone. He's not here." He's gone.
This is the Wingman Show. There's no Dr. Paul.
It'll be another one. Yeah.
Oh, you'll be remote from Italy somewhere.
An orbiting space platform or something like that.
Well, I think you get 400 million cash out of it. And if you ever want to play the game, what would you do with that money? It's almost ridiculous to think about. Yeah. But the first thing I would do is pay somebody to make sure that nobody knew I had that money.
Exactly. I wouldn't pick it up. I'd get someone. I'd have a dreadlock wig on and gold chain. I'd look like Flavor Flav or something like that. I'd work on it. I'd get the clock and everything.
Well, Doc, let me ask you this. We do financial all the time. And I did something yesterday that I'm ashamed of. I didn't want to tell you.
Uh-oh.
I went to McDonald's and bought a quarter pounder with cheese and French fries. I don't know why I did it. I didn't get sick. I mean, it was fine. I don't usually eat fast foods, but I went and got one. But I said that for this reason. I got that out of my system for some way, somehow. Fast food restaurants have doubled in their income in this past little time. And the reason their stock has all gone up is because fast food costs less and prices are going up everywhere. But the reason they made more money is because they charged more. It's like all the oil companies just had their best quarter because they raised their prices. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as far as financial, fast food restaurants are actually making a lot of money these days. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a good and bad. The good part is, I guess, good for them and good for the stockholders. Bad for people if they're more people are depending on that, because food does cost a lot. I can carry like $100 worth of groceries in one hand in my weak hand at times, and I don't eat a lot of meat or anything. It's just like this and that. It's like, what?
What if you have 5 kids, you don't have any money, and you give them each one of those little 99-cent hamburgers?
That becomes affordable. That fills their stomachs, not with good stuff. It's just with grease and sugar and who knows stuff, whatever came out of the laboratory. So that's actually a bad sign, particularly people who live in what they call food deserts, where they don't have much choice, even if they could afford better stuff. So you've got, so that's that cascading of a bad situation, like we talked about when we talked about the shortage of infant formula. Again, it was for the poor people in the poor neighborhoods. They was the ones that didn't have it.
That's right. Remember, I told you Baby Drew was on formula, but he had the more expensive, and they never ran out.
Never ran out, yeah.
I don't know if you remember, but I went down to a funeral in Homer, Louisiana last week. My very good friend, my roommate in college, Cornell Charles. His mother, Miss Rosalie, passed away. She was 96, so she's had a good life. And he asked me, please come down here to Homer and be with me during her funeral. And to be honest with you, he wanted to see the Rolls Royce at her funeral, so she went out in first class. And I did my friend Charlie a favor, and Katrina and I drove down to New Orleans first, and I went to go hang out with my granddaughter, Angel, and my daughter, Taryn. And then we drove to Homer in the Rolls, and it was a beautiful funeral, and he was very happy. And I did not want to go, but sometimes you got to do what's right. Mm-hmm. And when a friend asks you to do something like that, I did it. Well, the Wingman story starts when we came back, because I left about 4:00 in the morning from New Orleans, and the Rolls Royce got a flat tire in black ass night in Mississippi. Okay. I had a flat tire because I didn't have my run flat on. A run flat, Rolls Royces don't carry a spare tire, but their tires actually can stay flat for 100 miles till you get another one. They're much more expensive. I hit a pothole a while back and blew out a tire, and I had to get a quick one because they're hard to find the sizes for a Rolls Royce. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I had a flat in Diamond Head, Mississippi. It was black as hell. God was with me because the exit was like 1 mile away. We got off, we pulled over, and there was a Waffle House there. So we pull the Rolls into the Waffle House. We park it like a little bit out to the side. Dr. Paul, black man, Rolls Royce, black ass night, Mississippi. Within 7 minutes, there were 3 cop cars there. Okay. 3 cop cars.
Sounds like we're going to start a beginning of a Marvel movie or something.
So with the 3 cop cars there, I'm sitting in Waffle House with Katrina, and the first cop gets out of his car. He actually looks at the Waffle House and he said, "Is this yours?" Now, how in the hell would he know that that car's mine? Mm-hmm. How in the hell would he know that that car's mine? So I'm sorry to say I'm a black man. It's 4:00 in the morning. It's black, it's Mississippi, and he's a white cop. And I walk on out over there. Dr. Paul, everything you think is the opposite. This officer stuck out his hand to greet me. His name was Colin Ladner, one of the nicest young men I ever met. Nicest person I ever met. It was exactly the opposite of what anybody would think. I know you think this is strange, but this is a Rolls Royce, and this is Diamond Head, Mississippi, and we don't really see these kind of cars around here that much. So somebody called the alarm. Anyway, the reason I'm calling him, and he had the other officer in the other car, was Vincente. These guys were so nice to me. They started calling around to try to find me a tire. The only place was in about 20 miles from there. There was a Kmart open. We called the tow truck. The tow truck came and got me. The guy in the tow truck's name was TJ. His father owned the tow truck company, but they also did rap songs. So cool. Okay. So cool. Anyway, we went to Kmart and they did not have the tire. Well, these officers kept calling and kept calling. And TJ, now the tow truck guy, kept calling all over to find tires for me because I needed a 285 by 40 by 20, and they're hard to find. Finally, the tow truck driver brought us to Slidell, Louisiana, which was about 25 miles away. Okay. And there we finally got two 275, 40, 20 tires. I had to buy 2 brand new tires because they didn't have the right size for one. So I bought 2. We drove home. The wingman for this week is Colin Ladner and Vincente. And my boy TJ, who is the tow truck driver, they were the nicest guys we could have ever met. They were such a blessing. America is not bad. They have people in America who are bad. But like, Public Enemy said, don't believe the hype.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, when your initial setup, when you started talking about it, I was thinking, hearing like harmonica music in the background and thinking of Rod Steiger and Sidney Poitier in The Heat of the Night.
100%.
Great movie.
And how do you think I felt walking from that Waffle House to see these cops? I mean, I didn't do anything. First of all, the cool thing is I've done nothing wrong. And so I'm not scared at all. I'm not scared. And first of all, whenever you meet a policeman who has a gun and the ability to put your ass in jail and ruin your life, I would think to be respectful in the beginning, or actually all the time. But you start off respectful. But he started it off. And that was the kindest gesture I could have ever imagined, him sticking that hand out to me. So I really want to thank the sheriff's department, the police department from Diamond Head, Mississippi. You guys are great. And you made the Wingman of the Week for the Wingmen Show.
Yes, a story you're not going to see in the major media or even the minor media.
No, you won't. You might see the beginning, but you won't see the end.
Yeah,
Dr. Paul, as always, I pray for peace.
I pray for peace, and that Wingman is a very, very, very uplifting story.
Thank you once again, Dr. Paul Thompson, my friend. Thank you for your love, your time, and that's something that we won't ever get back. I want to thank all the listeners, too. Thank you so much for doing the show, Dr. Paul. We're jamming.
Well, thank you, Mr. Drew, for inviting me on. Always good to talk to you. And ladies and gentlemen, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or any of the podcasts. If you're looking at YouTube, they say smash the like button. Don't smash it. Just press it gently and refer to use as a link to all your friends. You can also look at us on our website, wingmenshow.com, WINGMEN show, SHOW.com, altogether, wingmenshow.com. And we hope to see you in the future. Thanks again, Mr. Drew.
Oh, you're welcome. And we're still floating like butterflies and stinging like bees. Rumble, you badass jet pilots, rumble. May there be peace on earth, and goodwill towards all men and women.